Most people spend their lives looking for motivation. They wait for the right quote, the right video, the right moment to spark something inside them. They believe that if they could just stay motivated, they would be unstoppable. But the truth is, motivation is a fleeting visitor. It comes and goes like the wind. You cannot rely on it to build a meaningful life. One day you wake up and feel like conquering the world. The next, you don't even feel like getting out of bed. If your life is based on motivation, you will rise and fall like the waves in the ocean. But clarity, that is something else altogether. Clarity is not a mood. It is not an emotion. Clarity is a certain way of seeing, a way of perceiving life and yourself with sharpness, with precision. It is like cleaning the fog from the windshield of your mind. When there is clarity, you don't need motivation. You don't have to push yourself to act. Action becomes a natural consequence of clear seeing. When you know what you want, when you see why it matters, when you are not confused about your direction, then every step becomes purposeful, even if it is difficult. The modern world is obsessed with motivation. Social media is full of loud voices telling you to hustle, grind, outwork everyone. But very few speak of inner clarity. Without clarity, you might run very fast in the wrong direction. You might put all your effort into climbing a ladder only to find it was leaning against the wrong wall. You may accumulate success in the eyes of the world, yet feel empty inside. This is the tragedy of those who lack clarity but are full of ambition. Clarity is not something that appears magically. It requires attention. It requires self-inquiry. You have to stop and ask yourself, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? Who told me this is important? Is this truly my path? Or am I living out someone else's idea of a good life? Most people never ask these questions. They live by imitation. They copy what others are doing and wonder why they feel lost. When you invest time into understanding yourself, your nature, your tendencies, your deeper longing, then clarity begins to emerge. It is not always instant. Sometimes it is like peeling layers of an onion. But each layer you remove brings you closer to your truth. And when you touch that place of truth within you, there is a stillness. From that stillness, action can arise without force. You don't need a motivational quote to wake up early if you are truly aligned with what you are doing. You don't need someone to push you when your inner compass is strong. Clarity also brings a strange kind of confidence, not the loud, boastful kind, but a quiet inner knowing. You may not have all the answers, you may still be figuring things out, but you are no longer lost. You are no longer scattered. You have found your center, and from that center, you can respond to life instead of reacting to it. People often confuse clarity with certainty. But they are not the same. Certainty can become rigid, dogmatic. Clarity is fluid. It allows you to adapt, to shift, to learn, but without losing your direction. When you are clear, even setbacks become part of the journey. They do not shake you, they teach you. Clarity turns confusion into learning. It transforms fear into action. It doesn't eliminate challenges, it just makes them meaningful. Without clarity, life feels like a burden. With clarity, even the burdens become opportunities for growth. This is why a single moment of clarity can save you years of wasted effort. People spend a decade chasing goals they never question. They wake up one day wondering where all the time went. That's because they were running on motivation without stopping to look. But when clarity enters, it's like turning on the lights in a dark room. You see where you are, you see where you're going, and most importantly, you see who you are. That seeing alone, that inner knowing, can save you not just 10 years. From a young age, we are taught to chase success, chase happiness, chase love, status, approval. It's almost as if life itself has become a pursuit, a constant running towards something that always seems just out of reach. The next achievement, the next milestone, the next big thing. The problem is, most people don't stop to ask why they are chasing. They just run because everyone else is running. They run because they think that's what life is about. But what they are chasing is often not even theirs. It's borrowed. It's a dream handed down by society, by parents, by culture. In this race, there is restlessness, anxiety, and often regret. When you chase, you are always in a state of lack. You are always telling yourself, I'm not there yet. That gap between where you are and where you think you should be becomes a source of constant tension. You begin to live in the future, not in the now. You start believing that happiness is at the finish line, not in the steps. But life is not something to be caught. It's something to be aligned with. When you align, you're not chasing anything, you're flowing with everything. Alignment is not about passivity. It's not about sitting back and waiting for things to happen. Alignment is a deep inner attunement to what is true for you. It means understanding your nature, your energy, your path. It means recognizing what resonates with you and what doesn't. When you are aligned, you act with clarity and peace, not desperation and comparison. Your actions are not a response to what others are doing. They arise from a deeper space within you. You may see someone building a business and feel inspired to do the same, but is that your calling, or is it a reaction to what the world glorifies? You may see someone traveling the world and feel the urge to do it too, but is that your path, or just another way to escape your own uncertainty? These are questions that require stillness to answer. Chasing is loud, alignment is silent, and in that silence you start to hear your own voice, not the voices of the world. The chase brings exhaustion. No matter how fast you run, the finish line moves further away. Even when you achieve what you wanted, the joy is temporary, and soon the chase begins again. Alignment, on the other hand, brings a sense of ease. Not because life becomes easy, but because you are no longer fighting yourself. You are no longer trying to force things into place. You are not driven by the fear of missing out, but by the clarity of what matters to you. Many people think they need to do more, become more, acquire more, but often the most powerful step is to pause, to breathe, to reflect. When you pause long enough to ask, "Is this mine?" you begin to filter out the noise. You begin to walk, not run. You begin to create, not copy. That is the power of alignment. It doesn't require effort to impress or prove anything. It simply flows from a deeper understanding of who you are and what you're here to do. Imagine two people climbing a mountain. One is racing, constantly looking over their shoulder, comparing their pace to others. The other is walking steadily, fully immersed in the journey, aligned with the path. Both may reach the top, but their experience of the climb is entirely different. The first one may feel burnt out, bitter, even unsure why they climbed in the first place. The second one feels fulfilled, not just because they reached the top, but because they were present with every step. When you stop chasing and start aligning, you begin to notice things you never saw before. Opportunities that were always there suddenly become visible. Relationships that felt heavy begin to shift or fall away. Decisions become lighter. Life starts to feel less like a burden and more like a dance. It's not about slowing down, it's about tuning in. When you are aligned, even the hard work feels different. Not draining, it's energizing. You feel connected to something greater than ambition. You feel connected to purpose. Chasing can bring temporary highs. It can feed the ego, but alignment feeds the soul. It grounds you. It brings peace even in chaos. It doesn't mean you won't have goals or desires. It means those desires will come from your truth, not from your insecurity. It means you will move with intention, not with pressure. Most importantly, your inner state is the lens through which you experience the world. Most people believe that changing their outer circumstances will fix their inner turmoil. They think, if I get that job, I'll feel better. If I find the right person, I'll be happy. If I move to a new place, my problems will disappear. But this is like trying to clean a dirty mirror by painting the walls around it. The reflection remains the same, no matter how much you rearrange the furniture. Your outer life is simply a reflection of your inner condition. If there is chaos within, you will see chaos outside. If there is peace within, even in the middle of noise, you will find stillness. Everything you perceive, everything you interpret, passes through your mind. If the mind is cluttered, confused, or agitated, no amount of success or luxury can bring you lasting peace. This is why some people have everything, wealth, fame, opportunity, and still feel empty, and others, with far less, radiate contentment and calm. It's not about what they have, it's about how they are inside. Most of us have been taught to look outward. From childhood, we are conditioned to seek validation, compare ourselves, and derive our worth from external markers. We are told to fix things out there, to get better grades, win more awards, earn more money. But no one teaches us how to sit quietly and understand what's happening inside us. No one tells us that our emotions, our thoughts, our compulsions are not who we are, but patterns that we've picked up. These patterns, if left unchecked, become the architects of our destiny. When your inner state is unconscious, reactive, or driven by fear and insecurity, it will leak into everything you do. You may try to be kind, but irritation comes out. You may try to be successful, but self-doubt holds you back. You may try to connect with others, but the walls of ego or past pain keep love at a distance. On the surface, you may look composed, but inside there is a storm, and it affects every interaction, every decision, every moment. To shift your outer life, the first and most important step is to become aware of your inner state. This does not mean judging yourself. It means observing with honesty and humility. It means noticing when you are triggered, when you are afraid, when you are acting from ego rather than understanding. Most importantly, it means recognizing that you have the power to transform it. You are not a slave to your thoughts. You are not your anger, or your anxiety, or your past. You are the one who is aware of these things, and that awareness itself is the seed of transformation. When you begin to take responsibility for your inner state, you stop blaming the world. You stop expecting people or events to fix what is broken inside. You realize that true freedom is not the absence of problems, but the presence of clarity and balance within yourself. You may still face challenges, but they no longer shake your foundation. You may still experience pain, but you are no longer trapped in it. This shift is subtle but profound. It is the difference between reacting and responding, between being driven and being directed. Your energy becomes more stable, your decisions become more intentional, you begin to attract different experiences because your vibration changes. People feel it even if they can't explain it. You become the kind of presence that brings calm to a room rather than tension, not because you are trying to impress, but because you are inwardly aligned. This is the power of mastering your inner state. It doesn't mean perfection, it means presence. It means you are no longer tossed around by every emotion or opinion that comes your way. Many people ask how to create the life they want. They make vision boards, set goals, repeat affirmations. These things are useful only if your inner state is coherent with them. If you are constantly anxious or doubting yourself, those outer practices will not penetrate deep enough to make lasting change. But when your inner space is clean, when your mind is clear, your emotions are steady, your intentions are pure, life begins to respond in a different way. Doors open, connections deepen, clarity arises without effort. Your external world begins to reflect the peace and purpose you have cultivated within. The real work of life is not out there, it's in here. Because when this is sorted, everything else becomes a reflection of that harmony. The world is not happening to you, it is responding through you. Your inner state is not just personal, it is creative. It is shaping reality every moment, whether you are aware of it or not. When you understand this, you stop trying to force the world into your image. You begin to shape your own being. Success is often defined by numbers, money in the bank, followers on a screen, titles before your name. From the outside, it can look dazzling, even intoxicating. But success without self-awareness is like a palace built on sand. It may impress for a while, but it cannot stand. When you do not know who you are, when you are not conscious of what drives you, even your achievements can become a burden. You may reach the top of the ladder only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. Many people pursue goals without ever questioning where those goals came from. They chase after success because they've been told it's what they should want. But should is a dangerous word. It's rooted in expectation, in conformity, in fear of being left behind. Self-awareness breaks that pattern. It allows you to step back and ask, is this truly mine? Without this question, you may spend years building a version of success that satisfies everyone but you. When you lack self-awareness, you may achieve outward success but feel inwardly lost. There's a disconnection between your public image and your private reality. You might be celebrated by others while secretly battling anxiety, emptiness, or confusion. Success becomes a mask you wear, not a reflection of who you are. You learn to play the part, to meet expectations, to keep the applause going, but all the while there's a quiet voice inside asking, is this it? That voice is the call of self-awareness, asking to be heard. True success arises from alignment. When your actions, your values, and your purpose are in harmony, success feels different. It's no longer just about outcomes, it becomes about the journey itself. You don't need the world's validation because your own inner clarity is enough. You may still pursue excellence, but it's not coming from a place of lack or comparison. It's coming from a place of authenticity. You're not trying to prove your worth. You are expressing it. Self-awareness is not about overthinking. It is not about constantly analyzing yourself. It's about observing without judgment. It's about watching your thoughts, your reactions, your desires, and asking, where is this coming from? It's about noticing the patterns that run your life, many of which were shaped long before you had the ability to choose. When you see these patterns clearly, you begin to create space between stimulus and response. In that space, there is power. The power to choose differently. Most people are reactive, not reflective. They are driven by unconscious motives, fear of failure, need for approval, old wounds that haven't healed. These forces shape their decisions, their relationships, even their goals. Without self-awareness, they are not living, they are merely repeating. But when awareness enters, something shifts. You begin to see your own conditioning. You start to notice when your actions are coming from fear instead of love, from insecurity instead of wisdom. With self-awareness, even failure teaches you. You don't take it personally. You don't make it your identity. You see it as feedback, as information. You're no longer afraid to look at yourself honestly because you know that growth begins with truth. You are willing to sit in discomfort if it means greater clarity. You stop running from yourself and begin the real work of transformation. And from this space, success takes on a new meaning. A person with self-awareness may not always be the loudest in the room, but their presence is felt. They don't need to dominate conversations or display their achievements. Their confidence is quiet, rooted in self-understanding. They are not shaken easily because they are not performing, they are being. And being is far more powerful than performing. The world may still applaud surface-level success, but deep down, every human being longs for something real. We want connection, peace, meaning. These things do not come from chasing blisses, they come from knowing. And knowing begins with looking inward. When you know yourself, you make better choices, you attract different experiences, you move through the world with a kind of grace that cannot be faked. You stop chasing the illusion of success and start embodying the substance of it. Even in moments of uncertainty, self-awareness acts as your compass. It helps you navigate complexity without getting lost. It reminds you that success is not something you acquire, it is something you live. It is not a destination, it is a way of being. It is not about how high you climb, it is about how true you are to yourself as you rise. Without self-awareness, you may gain the world and lose your soul. Most people hear the word discipline and immediately associate it with control, rigidity, and restriction. They think discipline means living a life with no fun, no spontaneity, no freedom. But that's only because they've never truly tasted what real discipline brings. Real discipline is not about chaining yourself. It's about unchaining yourself from distractions, compulsions, and habits that rob you of your potential. It's not a cage. It's the key to the cage. The freedom people seek is not in doing whatever they want. It's in being able to do what truly matters, when it matters, without being held hostage by their impulses. There is a kind of slavery in always doing what you feel like doing. If your actions are ruled by your moods, your laziness, your fear, or your need for comfort, then you are not free. You are a puppet. True freedom is when you are no longer controlled by these inner forces. And to reach that space, discipline is the bridge. It's the structure that allows flow. It's the container that allows greatness. Without discipline, even the most brilliant ideas fade into frustration. Without discipline, even the most passionate people fall short of their potential. Discipline is not something you apply to punish yourself. It's something you apply to prioritize yourself. It's saying, I matter enough to show up for myself. It's not harshness, it's devotion. When you have discipline, you begin to trust yourself. You say you'll wake up early, and you do. You say you'll finish that project, and you do. You stop needing external pressure because you have inner integrity. That trust in yourself becomes a deep foundation, a kind of quiet power. It's not flashy, but it's unshakable. In a world full of noise and temptation, discipline becomes your compass. Every app wants your attention. Every headline wants your reaction. Every voice wants your agreement. Without discipline, you will be pulled in 100 directions before noon. You'll confuse movement for progress. You'll be busy but not effective. You'll be constantly stimulated but internally empty. Discipline is what allows you to carve out space for depth in a shallow world. It gives you the strength to say no to what is urgent so you can say yes to what is important. There is a kind of elegance in discipline. It's not dramatic, it doesn't scream. It shows up quietly every day. It builds slowly, brick by brick. And then one day you look around and realize you've built something real, something that can stand the test of time. Talent may open a door, but discipline keeps you in the room. Motivation may start the fire, but discipline keeps it burning when the winds blow. When you're disciplined, you don't wait to feel ready. You act because it's time, not because it's convenient. You don't wait for inspiration. You create the conditions where inspiration can visit you. You become consistent in your energy, in your mindset, in your effort. And that consistency compounds over time into results that others call luck. But you know it's not luck. It's alignment. It's dedication. It's showing up even when it's hard, even when no one is watching. Discipline also brings simplicity. You don't waste time deciding every day what matters. You've already decided. You've designed your life around your values. You've removed what doesn't serve, and because of that, your energy is no longer scattered. You become focused, calm, clear. That clarity becomes magnetic. People can feel it. They may not understand why, but they are drawn to the groundedness in you. Because in a chaotic world, groundedness is rare. The beauty of discipline is that it makes you reliable, not just to others, but to yourself. And that reliability creates confidence. Not the loud kind, but the kind that moves in silence. The kind that doesn't need to boast because it knows its own strength. You don't need to prove yourself when you've already practiced with yourself. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth when you've already earned your own respect. That kind of freedom cannot be given. It can only be built. There's nothing boring about discipline when it's connected to purpose. In fact, it becomes a kind of love. A love that says, I won't abandon myself today. A love that says, I believe in the person I'm becoming. And from that space, even the most mundane actions take on meaning. Every step becomes sacred. Every task becomes a prayer. There is a deep illusion in the way people approach time. Most live as if it will go on forever, as if the clock is some infinite background noise instead of the ticking away of their own life. Days are treated casually, moments are wasted in distraction, and dreams are postponed for a tomorrow that may never come. The tragedy is not just in lost time, but in the unconsciousness with which it is spent. People wait. They wait for the right time, the right mood, the right circumstance. But time doesn't wait for anyone. It flows, quietly, consistently, irreversibly. And once it passes, it never returns. When you realize this, something within you shifts. Time is not money. Time is life. You can earn money back. You cannot earn back the hours spent in meaningless pursuits, in fake relationships, in empty entertainment, or in the paralysis of indecision. Every day, you are making an exchange. You are trading your life for something. The question is, what are you trading it for? Is it worth it? If someone offered you $1 million for 1 year of your life, would you take it? Most wouldn't. But they'll give that year away in fragments to things that don't nourish them, simply because they haven't awakened to the value of each moment. To live fully, you must understand that time is your most sacred currency. Every second that passes is an opportunity that will never return in the same way. It is not about being busy. It is not about stuffing every hour with productivity. It is about presence. It is about awareness. Even 5 minutes spent in deep connection with yourself, with someone you love, with the silence of life, is richer than an entire day lived unconsciously. It is not about doing more. It is about living more, not in quantity but in quality, in depth, in intention. You do not need more time. You need more clarity about how to use the time you already have. Most people are not lacking time. They are leaking it. Through aimless scrolling, through drama, through habits that drain rather than elevate. When you stop to reflect, you begin to see how much of your energy is being spent on things that don't matter. That awareness is not meant to create guilt. It is meant to create change. You begin to become deliberate. You start valuing your time not with urgency, but with reverence. Time management is not about scheduling more things. It is about prioritizing fewer things, the right things, the things that align with your values, your vision, your vitality. When you become ruthless about what deserves your time, life becomes simpler, not easier, but clearer. You start saying no, not out of rudeness, but out of respect. Not just respect for others, but for yourself. Because when you say yes to everything, you dilute your energy. When you say yes with discernment, you focus it. There is power in knowing that your time is finite. It makes every sunrise precious. It makes every conversation an opportunity. It makes every decision significant. It strips away the illusion of later and brings your attention to now. And the now is all there ever is. The future is just a collection of imagined nows. The past is just a memory of nows. If you don't honor the now, you lose everything. Because everything you are, everything you become, is shaped in this very breath, this very choice, this very second. Many people chase longevity. They want to live longer. But what is the point of a long life if it is not lived fully? A short, conscious life is far more fulfilling than a long, unconscious one. It is not about how many years you live. It is about how alive you are in your years. Aliveness is not measured in how fast you move, but in how deeply you feel, how present you are, how honest you live. And that kind of living can only happen when you recognize the sacredness of time. Regret is often born from the misuse of time. The I should have, the I could have, the why didn't I, these are whispers of time that was not lived fully. They echo in the silence of lost chances. But if you are breathing now, it means life is still offering you its most precious gift, a moment. And what you do with that moment determines everything. Not just where your life goes, but who you become along the way. To understand time is to understand mortality, not as something to fear, but as something to awaken you. Death is not the opposite of life, it is a part of it. And when you keep that awareness close, not as a shadow, but as a guide, you begin to live with a different fire. You begin to see the trivial for what it is. You begin to let go of what doesn't matter. You stop waiting to start living. You stop postponing your peace, your passion, your purpose. Because you know now,